Now is it visible?
No, sir.
No,
No,
still
sir.
it is not. Wait, buddy. Okay. Now I understood what happened. I have to switch the present now button over here, and after that I have to share. Okay, wait.
Yes.
Okay,
Okay, sir.
okay, fine. So let us go to the indicator electrodes where we have stopped. Yes. So yesterday we have started with electrodes, and I told you that indicator electrodes will develop a potential, and the potential developed by the indicator electrode is measured with respect to the reference electrode. Okay. So when we do an experiment with the help of a potentiometer or with the help of pH meter, we are going to use two electrodes. One is the reference electrode, and that reference electrode can be connected either to the anode or the cathode. And the next thing is we are going to use the indicator electrode, and that indicator electrode can be connected either to the cathode or the anode in the circuit. Okay, so when we give contact to the external circuit, whatever the potential you are going to observe in the display unit of the potentiometer or the pH meter is directly proportional to what the potential developed by the indicator electrode. Okay, so that is what is called as the indicator electrode. And already I told you that indicator electrodes are divided into three types. One is the indicator electrodes of the first type, the second type, as well as your inert metallic indicator electrodes. So yesterday we have discussed with the electrodes of the first type. And when I have discussed over there, I told you that any metallic wire or any metallic rod can function as the electrode of the first type. Okay, so yesterday I have taken you an example of the copper rod, and this copper rod is functioning as our indicator electrode now, and we are going to dip this copper rod in a beaker containing copper sulfate solution whose concentration we don't know. We want to find out how much copper ions are present in that given unknown copper sulfate solution. So what we have done is we took a copper rod, okay, which is now going to function as indicator electrode of the first type or of the first category, and yeah, along with that we are going to connect what the reference electrode. Usually we use the calomel electrode as a reference electrode in our laboratory. So we connect the indicator electrode, that is a copper rod, and the reference electrode, the calomel electrode, into the circuit. And finally, when we switch on the instrument, then one potential reading will be displayed in the display unit of the potentiometer. Then that particular see here reading or the potential which you are going to observe with the display unit is directly proportional to what the concentration of the copper ions present in the unknown copper sulfate solution which we have taken in the beaker. So here we have to keep one point in mind, that is the potential developed by the copper rod which is functioning as indicator electrode is dependent upon the concentration of its own ions present in the solution. So if at all you want to measure, if at all you want to find out the concentration of the copper ions, we have to use the copper rod. Okay, and if at all you want to find out the concentration of zinc ions, we have to use what indicator electrode. Zinc rod will be functioning as the indicator electrode. So any metallic rod can function as indicator electrode of the first type for its own cations present in the solution, which we are going to take in the beaker. Okay. Hope the point is clear to you. And I told you,
Yes, sir.
yesterday about the equilibrium also. Is it clear? So yesterday I told you that we are taking copper rod, and this copper rod is kept adhesive here in the solution, and we are connecting everything to the external circuit. So when we are connecting everything to the external circuit, copper rod, which is functioning as indicator electrode, contains what? Copper atoms. Is it clear? So now the copper atoms present in the copper rod, which is functioning as the indicator electrode, is in equilibrium or is in contact with the copper ions belonging to the copper sulfate solution, which we have taken in the beaker, whose concentration we want to find out using the indicator electrode, which is nothing but our copper rod. Is it clear? So that equilibrium also I have told you, and using those equations which is displayed in this slide, we can here we can find out the potential developed by the copper indicator electrode when it is dipped in a copper sulfate solution taken in the beaker. Okay, so and I already told you that all these equations are just derived using our Nernst equations or formulas over there. And when you have observed the graph, you are observing what is a negative slope. That also you have to keep in mind. Okay, so this is all what you have to write here regarding the electrodes belonging to the first type, as we have discussed earlier. Okay, now let us look into the limitations of the type 1 metal indicator electrodes. This electrode is not selective, okay, and respond not only to their own cations but also to other more easily reduced cations. So this is another problem. So example I have given you over there. Copper electrode cannot be used for the determination of copper ions in presence of silver ions, because the electrode potential of both the ions is almost same. Is it clear? So that is the reason why you cannot use copper electrode if at all silver ions are also present in the medium. So if silver ions are present in the medium, and if at all you are going to use copper electrode to find out the concentration of copper ions, then what happens? The potential developed by the copper electrode is not directly proportional to the copper ions alone, but also it is equal to the concentration of the silver ions also. That means whatever the potential you are going to expect, that potential you are not going to get, but in of the of the ions present solution impurity. So this is the problem associated with the pure copper rod when it is going to function as the indicator electrode. Is it clear? The point is clear to you. So I will read once again. This electrode is not selective. Okay, if these electrodes are selective, then it is going to develop a potential directly proportional to what ions? Copper ions only. But these electrodes are not selective. Since these electrodes are not selective, it has developed a potential not only for copper ions but also for silver ions, which is present as impurity in the copper sulfate solution taken in the beaker. Okay, so that is the reason why the potential developed by the indicator electrodes is not reliable. We cannot rely upon the information given by the indicator electrodes of the first type because of this kind of problems. Okay, is the point clear to you? Students,
Once again explain, sir.
once again you want. Okay, you see, we have,
కొంచెం స్లోగా చెప్పండి సార్, ఫాస్ట్ గా.
okay, you see over here. Have taken a beaker, okay, which contains copper ions. Now you dip the copper rod into that particular copper sulfate solution. Okay, now you are going to get a potential. Okay, that potential is directly proportional to what copper ions present in the solution. Okay, now let that value is equal to 1 volt. That the value given by the electrode is 1 volt. Now what are you going to do is into this particular copper sulfate solution, you are going to add a small quantity of silver ions. Okay, now again you dip the copper rod into the beaker. Now again the copper indicator electrode is going to develop a potential. That potential should be how much? It should be how much?
both copper ion and silver ions.
No, it should be how much? According to your theory, according to your concept, I told you that the potential of the indicator electrode is directly proportional to the concentration of its own ions present in the solution. This is what I have told you yesterday. Okay. Is it clear? So it has to be how much? 1 volt. Is it clear? But what happened is already I told you that the potential developed by the indicator electrode is going to show some fluctuations if the copper sulfate solution taken by you contains some impurity ions like silver ions. Okay, so I have added small quantity of silver ions. Is it not? Yes. So in presence of silver ions, which is going to function as impurity, what happens? The potential developed by the copper indicator electrode will not be equal to 1. Okay, so that contains how many units of copper ions? 1.5 units of copper ions. Is it correct? No. Okay, it's not correct because I know that I have given you a solution which contains only 1 unit of copper ions, but you are telling me that it contains how many units? 1.5 units of copper ions, which is wrong. Why that wrong answer came? Because of the interference of
Ag ions.
Ag plus ion present in the copper sulfate solution, which is given to you by me. Is it clear? For analysis. Is it clear? So to say that the potential developed by the indicator electrode is not always reliable. Is it clear? We cannot rely upon the information or upon the potential developed by the indicator electrodes. Why? Because sometimes even though we may not know whether that silver ions is present or some other ions are present in the given copper sulfate solution, we don't know. Okay, by mistake or unknowingly, okay, sometimes some other ions also may enter or may be present in the copper sulfate solution or some solution which you have prepared. Okay, under that condition, what happens? You will be observing some deviations in the potential potential values developed by the indicator electrodes. Is it clear? So that is the reason why we have to cross check the answer which is obtained, we have to cross check the potential which is developed potential by the indicator electrodes. Is it clear? Is the point clear to you? The first point.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so you go to the second point. Zinc and cadmium metal electrodes can be used only in basic medium, as these electrodes dissolve in the acidic medium. So this is the second limitation of the indicator electrodes. You cannot use all the indicator electrodes in a different here pH values. Okay, so you cannot use some electrodes you can use in the acidic medium, some indicator electrodes you can use in the basic medium, some you have to use in the neutral medium only. Is it clear? So such limitation is observed in case of the zinc and cadmium metal electrodes. So if at all you see, the zinc and cadmium metal electrodes can be used only in which medium? In the basic medium. If at all you use the zinc and cadmium metal electrodes in acidic medium, what will happen? What will happen? The electrodes will simply dissolve in the medium and finally you are not going to observe any electrode and you are not going to get any potential and you will be unable to find out the concentration of zinc ions and cadmium ions of the given unknown solution to you. Is it clear? So these problems are there with some metal electrodes. Is it clear? So you have to be very much careful when you use zinc and cadmium metal electrodes. Is it clear? Always you have to use these electrodes to find out the concentration of zinc ions and cadmium ions in what medium? In the acidic medium only. Okay.
Basic medium.
Can be okay only in the basic medium. Yes, because it dissolves in the acidic medium. Correct. So you have to use always in what medium? In the basic medium only. Okay. Okay. Now you go to the third point. This type metal indicator electrodes are subjected to oxidation when used in analyte solution containing dissolved oxygen. Is it clear? So this is another problem. So when you use your indicator electrodes, what you have to do? You have to deaerate. You have to remove the dissolved oxygen present in your solution. Is it clear? If at all oxygen is present in a dissolved condition in your analyte solution, what will happen? That oxygen, which is present in the dissolved condition in your analyte solution, will interact with your metal indicator electrodes of the first type and will oxidize those electrodes. And finally, what will happen? What will happen? You will not observe any kind of electrodes. For example, copper rod is present. Okay, the copper rod density here is attacked by oxygen. Suppose oxygen is going to oxidize your copper rod, then what will happen? Copper rod contains what? Copper atoms. If at all copper atoms present in copper rod undergoes oxidation, what will happen? Copper atoms will be converted into what? Copper ions. Is it clear? So copper ions, what will happen? Ions cannot form a rod. Okay, so simply what will happen? Those copper ions will be entering into the solution. Okay, so there is no question of copper rod visible to your naked eyes. And finally, you cannot get any potential, and you will be unable to find out the concentration of copper ions in the given copper sulfate solution. So always when you use the indicator electrodes, you have to be very much careful, okay, regarding the nature of the medium in which you are going to dip the indicator electrodes, whether oxygen is present or not in the given analyte solution. All these things you have to you have to take care before you dip the indicator electrodes into the given unknown analyte solution. Is it clear? The next one you see the iron, chromium, cobalt, and nickel metal indicator electrodes. They are having some limitations. What are those limitations? They do not give a reproducible electrode potential. What is meant by reproducible electrode potential? Reproducible electrode potential is nothing but if at all you take the electrode and if at all you dip potential in any solution any number of times, okay, in the same condition, you have to get the same potential value. Is it clear? That is called as the reproducible electrode potential. Okay, for example, I am giving you 1 molar copper sulfate solution and you are going to dip potency here the copper rod into it. Is it clear? Morning you have dipped into that, afternoon you have dipped, evening you have dipped, tomorrow also you are going to repeat the same procedure thrice, but you have to get how many values, how many times you have dipped the copper rod into the copper sulfate solution? 6 times. Today 3 times and tomorrow also you are going to dip 3 times. How many values you have to get? You will get 6 values and all the 6 values should be same. Okay, that condition is called as the reproducible electrode potential. Okay, but such atmosphere phenomena you are not going to observe with the, if at all you are going to use the iron indicator electrode, chromium, cobalt, and nickel indicator electrodes. Why? Because these electrodes, if at all dip in a given analyte solution, okay, today 3 times and tomorrow 3 times, you are going to get what I say here 6 values, and all the 6 values may not be the same. Okay, some may be same, some may be different, and some may show what I say slight deviation, or some may show greater deviation. Is it clear? So for a general attention talk, we can say that all the 6 attention values will be different from one another. If all the 6 values are different from one another, we cannot say those electrode potentials are reproducible electrode potentials, and we cannot take all these values into consideration for practical purposes. Is the point clear to you?
Sir.
Okay. So next point you see, silver and mercury electrodes function perfectly in neutral medium. Okay, already I told you this point. Is it clear? Some indicator electrodes are going to function excellently well. They are going to give what I see here very reliable, very perfect and accurate electrode potential in acidic medium. Some are going to give a perfect accurate potentials in a basic medium, and we are observing some indicator electrodes in the form of a silver electrode, in the form of a mercury electrode, which are going to give a perfect accurate atmosphere potentials only in what medium? In a neutral medium. So you have to say here, that is the reason why I told you before you are going to use an indicator electrode, you have to see whether that particular indicator electrode will give or will function properly in that particular medium or not, whether that indicator electrode is suitable to function in the given medium or not. Okay, if that medium is not suited to that particular indicator electrode, so what will happen? It will simply damage the indicator electrode, and you will not be able to get any kind of potential, and you will not be able to find out the concentration of the given unknown solution U. Is it okay? Then the copper, zinc, cadmium, bismuth, thallium, and lead indicator electrodes work perfectly in a deaerated analyte solution. Deaerated means what? The analyte solution in which oxygen is completely removed. That means deaerated analyte solution. So if oxygen is present in the given analyte solution, then I told you that the indicator electrodes may undergo oxidation, and under that condition, it will not give you reliable potential values, and you will not be able to find out the concentration of the ions present in the given analyte solution. Okay, so if that is the condition, if that is the case, then we have to remove oxygen. Okay, for the perfect functioning of the indicator electrodes. And the example I have given you in the last point that what those electrodes which can function perfectly in the analyte solution not containing oxygen, that is our copper, zinc, cadmium, bismuth, and thallium and lead electrodes. Okay, these electrodes, if at all if at all it has to function perfectly, then what you have to do? You have to remove oxygen from the analyte solution supplied to you. Otherwise, the potential values, otherwise these electrodes may undergo oxidation. Okay, the potential given by these electrodes may not be accurate, may not be reproducible. Is it clear? And finally, you may not be finding out the concentration of the ions in the given analyte solution perfectly. Is it clear or accurately? So these are the disadvantages or limitations associated with different kinds of indicator electrodes. To sum up, what you can say, when you are using the indicator electrodes, what we have to do? We have to keep two things in mind. What are the two things? First thing is whether the analyte solution is containing oxygen or not. Okay, dissolved oxygen or not. That is the first thing. Next thing is we have to keep in mind about the nature of the medium. Whether the medium what I see here is basic, acidic, or neutral. Okay, whether my indicator electrode is going to function perfectly in this medium, in the given medium or not. If it is not going to function perfectly in the given medium, then what we have to do? We cannot change the medium of the given analyte solution. Only thing is we can change the indicator electrode. I don't see here to find out the concentration of the ions present in the given analyte solution. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now let us go to the type 2 metal indicator electrodes. Okay. So this is a little bit complicated one. I will explain to you in a very simple manner. Okay, I don't want to confuse you. Okay, even though the concept is a little bit difficult, we will see. Okay, dear students, I hope all of you are able to understand up to this particular slide. Okay. So any doubts are there? Don't put your suggestions in the chat box. Okay, so you can just unmute yourself and you can express yourself. Okay. So if you are not expressing, then I have to take into consideration that all of you are able to follow the lesson after this stage. Okay. Shall I continue?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So type 2 metal indicator. Carefully you read or carefully you follow. I will read. These electrodes serve as indicator electrodes not only for their own cations, but also respond to the concentration of anions, which form sparingly soluble precipitate with their own cations. Okay. So in a simple manner, I can express like this also. What is that? Metal indicator electrodes belonging to what type? Belonging to type 2. Okay, they are going to develop potential. Not only they are going to develop potential. Okay, equal to the concentration of the cations and also equal to the concentration of the anions, which is having the ability to form a sparingly soluble salt with the cations. With the cations. Example, I will tell you. You see, I am going to take a silver electrode or a silver rod. Okay, silver rod, for example. Okay. Now this silver rod, I'm going to dip, or you can take. Okay, silver rod you take, and you dip this silver rod in AgNO3 solution. Okay, AgNO3 solution. Okay, connect this silver rod to the external circuit. The silver rod is going to develop a potential. The silver rod is containing what? Silver atoms. Okay, now this rod is present in which solution? In a silver nitrate solution. The silver nitrate solution undergoes splitting to produce what ions over there? Silver ions as well as nitrate ions. So now silver ions are present in close contact with which rod? Silver rod. And this silver rod contains what atoms over there? Silver atoms. So now our silver wire or the silver rod which is connected to the external circuit, it is going to develop a potential. Okay, and that potential is directly proportional to what? The concentration of silver ions. Is it not?
Yes, sir. Its own ion solution.
Okay, its own ions. Okay, so the silver rod is going to develop a potential directly proportional to the concentration of silver ions. That means in this particular case, the silver rod is functioning as a what electrode? Indicator electrode of the first type or first type indicator electrode. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is I am going to take one burette. Okay, fill that burette with KCl solution. Okay, KCl solution. And now I'm going to add what this KCl solution into the beaker containing what? Silver nitrate. Is it clear? Silver nitrate. Now what is going to happen over there? The silver ions is going to interact with what? With the chloride ions of KCl. Okay, KCl, and finally what is formed over there? AgCl precipitate is formed. Is it clear? Carefully attention, take down the reaction. What is the first reaction? What is the first reaction? The silver ions. Wait. You just. I hope you are all having your running notes by the side of you. You just write down the reaction. First reaction. What is happening over there? The silver ions is. Silver nitrate undergoes a dissociation to produce silver ions as well as nitrate ions. Okay, these silver are coming in close contact with the silver rod, and the silver rod, since it is connected to the external circuit, it is developing a potential, and that potential is directly proportional to the concentration of silver ions present in the silver nitrate solution. That is the first point. Okay, that is the first point. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So let us suppose our beaker is containing 100 silver ions. Okay, 100 silver ions are there. Now what I am going to do is I have taken one burette. I have filled that burette with KCl solution, and now I am going to add 1 ml of KCl into my AgNO3 solution present in the beaker. Now what is going to happen? What is going to happen? The silver ions are present in the beaker. How many silver ions are present? 100 silver ions are present. Okay, kindly take a note in your running notes. Is it clear? Okay, so 100 silver ions are present, and I am going to add how many? 1 ml of KCl. Suppose 1 ml of KCl solution contains 10 chloride ions. You think like that. Okay, so 10 chloride ions are entering into your AgNO3 solution. Now these 10 chloride ions are going to interact with how many silver ions over there? 10 silver ions. And finally, how many units of silver chloride precipitate will be formed? 10 units of silver chloride precipitate is formed. Okay. After the formation of 10 chlorides, 10 units of silver chloride precipitate, how many units of free silver ions are present? 90 units of 90 units of silver ions are present. Is it clear now?
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
Okay. So you are having after the addition of 1 ml of KCl. 1 ml of KCl contains how many units of Cl minus ions? 10 units of Cl minus ions. So when you added 10 units of Cl minus ions into AgNO3 solution, these 10 chloride ions interacted with the 10 Ag plus ions, and finally you have obtained how many units of silver chloride precipitate? 10 units of silver chloride precipitate. and along with that, how many silver ions are present in free condition? 90 Ag, 90 Ag plus ions are present. Okay. So now an equilibrium is going to establish between 90 silver ions and 10 AgCl units. Is it clear? So 10 AgCl units is present in the beaker, and 90 Ag ions are also present in the beaker. Is it not? Yes. So the beaker contains, you have to visualize. Is it clear? So you have to imagine what is happening. So in the beaker, you are having 90 units of silver ions. Along with those silver ions, you are having 10 units of AgCl. Okay, very nice. Okay. Now what is going to happen? This is a very interesting case. Now the silver chloride is a sparingly soluble precipitate. Is a sparingly soluble. I did not use the word AgCl is an insoluble precipitate. Did I use? I have used the term water sparingly soluble precipitate. That means what is going to happen? There is every possibility for the silver chloride precipitate to undergo solubilization or to dissolve to a certain extent, or there is every possibility for AgCl precipitate to undergo dissociation to a small extent. Is it not? Yes, that is the meaning of the sparingly soluble salt. Okay. Now our soluble precipitate. Okay. So because of this concept, what is going to happen? AgCl precipitate. How many units are found over there? 10 units of AgCl precipitate are found. These 10 units of AgCl precipitate, okay, will undergo dissociation to a very, very small extent. And finally, what happens? Silver ions are produced over there. Okay. And also chloride ions are also produced over there. Now again, a second equilibrium, a new equilibrium is going to be established between what? Between silver chloride precipitate and the ions which is obtained from the silver chloride precipitate due to dissociation. So how many equilibriums are now established? Two equilibriums are established. Is it clear? What is the initial equilibrium established? The initial equilibrium was established between 90 Ag plus ions and 10 AgCl precipitate. Okay. After that, what happened? I told you that AgCl precipitate is having the ability to undergo dissociation to a very small extent. So because of this ability of AgCl will undergo dissociation, and finally what is produced from that? Ag plus ions are released and silver ions are also released. And now a new equilibrium is going to be established between what? Between AgCl and the ions which is coming out from AgCl due to slight dissociation. Is it clear? So I hope up till this you are able to understand. Okay. Let us suppose or let us think that because of dissociation of AgCl, okay, one silver ion is produced and one chloride ion is produced. Think like that. Okay. So now how many silver ions are present in the medium in free condition?
100.
How many? Again, you see
91.
91. That is the right answer. So 90 original ions are present, and plus one extra silver ion is produced due to the dissociation of AgCl. Okay. Now you have to understand one more important point, that till now no chloride ions are present. Whatever the 10 chloride ions you have added into AgNO3 solution kept in the beaker, all the chloride ions are being consumed and they are converted into AgCl. But now what happened? Because of dissociation of AgCl, you are able to observe what? One chloride ion is present in free condition in the medium or in the beaker. Is it clear? In the beaker.
Yes.
In the beaker. Okay, very nice. Now what is going to happen is now the actual story will run. What is going to happen? Till now the silver electrode, okay, which developed a potential, okay, directly proportional to the concentration of silver ions, it is going to show another behavior. What is that another behavior? It will develop potential for the second time, and that second time developed potential will be directly proportional to the concentration of chloride ions. So first time when I have added 1 ml, okay, then how many silver ions are present? 91, and one chloride ion is produced. when I am going to add the second ml, okay, I have taken 10 ml of AgNO3 first. And how many KCl I have to add for neutralization? 10 ml of K. Is it not?
సార్ మళ్ళీ చెప్పండి సార్ ఇది.
Okay. You see, initially I have taken 10 ml of AgNO3 in the beaker. Okay. To complete the titration or to complete the precipitation process, how many ml of KCl I have to add in? Anybody? Are able to follow? Okay, I will tell you. You see. Oh, 1 minute. Okay. I have taken how many ml of AgNO3 in the beaker? 10 ml.
10 ml.
Okay. Little bit disturbance is there. Kindly, the other people, unmute yourself. Mute yourself. Okay. So you have taken 10 ml of AgNO3. Suppose 10 ml of AgNO3 contains 100 Ag plus ions. You think like that. Okay. Now to convert 100 Ag plus ions into AgCl precipitate, how many ml of KCl solution is to be added into the beaker? And I told you that 1 ml of KCl contains how many units of Cl minus ions? 10 units of Cl minus ions. So how many ml of KCl is needed for the complete conversion of Ag plus ions into AgCl?
10 ml, sir.
10 ml, sir.
10 ml you need. Okay. Now you are coming into the point. Okay. So now I have added how many ml now? 1 ml I have added. Is it clear? So when I have added 1 ml of KCl, what is the observation you have observed? 91 Ag plus ions are present in the beaker, and how many chloride ions are generated over here? 1 chloride ion is generated.
1 chloride.
Now I'm going to add a second ml of KCl. Now what will be the concentration of silver ions and copper and chloride ions in the beaker?
2 chloride ions extra.
Two chloride ions will be present, and how many silver ions will be present? 81. Is it not?
అర్థం కాలేదు సార్. Silver ions
When
90.
Okay. We see 91 Ag plus ions are there, and 2 chloride and 1 chloride ion is present. Now we are going to add one more 1 ml of KCl. So 1 ml of KCl contains how many chloride ions? 10 chloride ions are present. Is it? Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now these 10 chloride ions is going to interact with how many? 10 silver ions. And finally again you are going to get how many AgCl units? 10 AgCl units. Okay. So how many Ag plus ions are left out over there? 80.
81.
How many?
81.
That is what I'm telling you. 81 units of Ag plus is present. Okay. 81 is present. 81. Now again AgCl will undergo dissociation, and how many silver ions will be produced? 1 silver ion will be produced and 1 chloride ion will be produced. Is it not?
Yes, sir.
Now how many silver ions are present? 82. How many chloride ions are present?
2 chlorine.
2 chloride ions. So now what are you observing? As you keep on adding solution from the burette into the AgNO3 solution taken in the beaker, what are you able to observe over there? You are able to observe a decrease in the concentration of silver ions.
Silver ions.
Okay.
Increase.
And increase in the chloride ion. Is it clear? So as you go on continuing like that, what happens? A stage will be reached when the Ag plus ion concentration will become almost very less or almost zero, and the concentration of chloride ions will be increased. Is it not?
Yes, sir.
Yes. So since the concentration of the silver ions is getting reduced and becoming zero, and on the other hand, what are you observing? The concentration of chloride ions is first it was very less, but as the titration is continued, what is happening? The concentration of chloride ions is going on increasing, and by the time the equivalence point is reached, the concentration of chloride ions is very high. So since the concentration of chloride ions is very high, and since the concentration of silver ions is very less, what happens? The chloride ions influence. Amma, mute yourself. Disturbance is there. Mute yourself. Mute yourself. Mute చేసుకోండి. Okay. Mute చేసుకోండి. When you have some doubts to ask, only you unmute. Okay. Okay. So since what you have observed, as the equivalence point or as the end point is reaching closely, what are you observing? Two observations you have made. The concentration of silver ions is drastically reduced, and the concentration of chloride ions is drastically increased. So since the concentration of chloride ions is drastically increased, what happens? Chloride ions will have more influence on the electrode when compared to the influence of the silver ions. As a result of which, what happens? The silver electrode will develop a potential, and that potential will be directly proportional to the concentration of chloride ions, but not to the concentration of silver ions, because the concentration of silver ions, when compared to the concentration of chloride ions, is very, very, very less. Hence, the effect of silver ions on the electrode will become equal to 0, and the concentration of the chloride ions will be felt on the electrode, due to which what happens? The potential developed by the electrode is directly or will become directly proportional to the concentration of chloride ions instead of the concentration of silver ions. Thereby, the electrode here is going to exhibit what kind of behaviors? Dual behaviors. Initially, it gave a potential directly proportional to the concentration of silver ions, but as the titration went on, what happened? The concentration of silver ions became reduced, and finally became equal to 0. Okay, whereas the concentration of chloride ions, which initially was 0, but at the end of the titration, what happened? The chloride ions concentration is increased, due to which what happens? The electrode comes under the influence of chloride ions, but not under the influence of silver ions. As a result of which, the electrode develops potential equivalent to the concentration of chloride ions, but not to the concentration of the silver ions. In this way, you can observe the dual latency here behavior, or the shift or the change in the behavior of the indicator electrodes. Okay, if such a change or such a shift in the behavior of the electrode is observed, then we can classify such electrodes as what electrodes? Indicator electrodes belonging to what type? Type 2. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so that is the reason why I told you that this is little bit difficult. Okay, so in a simpler way, we can see that initially, okay, what are the examples? Okay, very simple thing. Already we have studied these examples. Okay, so the example of the metal indicator electrodes of type 2 is nothing but our reference electrodes, our calomel electrode. Okay, can function as the metal indicator electrode of type 2, and our silver chloride electrode functions as indicator electrode of type 2. Is it clear? Okay, because there you are having what? The silver rod is present. The silver, and I told you when I have discussed with the reference electrode, the potential developed by the calomel electrode and the silver chloride electrode is directly proportional to the chloride ions. Okay, why I said like that? Because at the end of the titration, the chloride ion concentration will be more when compared to the concentration of silver ions, or when compared to the concentration of mercury ions, if it is in case of the calomel electrode. Okay, so that is the reason why at the end or at the final stage, the potential developed by the reference electrode is directly proportional to the chloride ions. Is it clear? Okay, so we can write the examples as the silver chloride electrode, or we can write the example of the mercury, or the calomel electrode. Hope the point is clear to you.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so I shall repeat the last point to you once again. You see, the saturated calomel electrode is there. Okay, the saturated calomel electrode contains what? Mercury. Okay, mercury. I told you that the saturated calomel electrode is going to develop a potential, and this potential is directly proportional to the concentration of chloride ions. No doubt. Okay, but now I am telling you that the saturated calomel electrode will function as metal indicator electrodes. Okay, type 2. Okay, having type 2 behavior. Okay, why? How I could say this thing? Very simple thing. Okay, very simple thing. in the initial stages, the concentration of mercury will be very high. So the potential developed by the calomel electrode is directly proportional to the concentration of mercury ions. But as the titration is carried out or as the titration is proceeding, what happens? The concentration of mercury ions will be drastically reduced, and finally the concentration of which ions will be increased? Chloride ions will be increased. As a result of which, what happens? The effect of mercury ions on the electrode will become zero. And whose effect is going to fall upon the electrode over there? Only the effect of the chloride ions is going to fall upon the electrode. So the electrode is now going to live under the influence of which ions? Chloride ions. In the beginning, it is living under the influence of which ions? Mercury ions. But as the titration is proceeding, what happens? The influence of mercury on the electrode will become zero, and now the calomel electrode will come under the influence of which ions? Chloride ions. Since it is coming under the influence of chloride ions, the potential shown by the calomel electrode will respond to the, or will be directly proportional to the chloride ions, but not to the concentration of mercury ions. Is it clear? In this aspect, we can say that the calomel electrode will function as what electrode? Indicator electrodes having what behavior? Type 2 behavior. In a similar manner, if at all you take a silver chloride electrode, that silver chloride electrode is containing what metal, Amma? It is containing silver metal. Okay, it is containing silver metal along with silver metal. So when you dip that silver chloride electrode in silver nitrate solution, what happens? Silver nitrate contains what? Silver ions. Initially, how many ions are present? 100 ions are present. So our electrode is living under the influence of what ions? Silver ions. So the potential developed by the electrode is directly proportional to the concentration of silver ions in the initial stages. But as you have carried out the titrations with KCl solution, what happened? The concentration of silver ions is reduced to zero, and the concentration of chloride ions is drastically increased. Okay, so since the concentration of silver ions is zero, okay, now the electrode is not living under the influence of silver ions, but it is living under the influence of which ions? Chloride ions. So since it is living under the influence of chloride ions, naturally the potential developed by the electrode will be directly proportional to the concentration of which ions? Chloride ions. So seeing this particular aspect or seeing this kind of shift or change in the behavior of the electrodes, here, which is dependent upon what? The change in the concentration of the ions with due to or during the titration, we say that our electrodes are going to have is going to function as what electrodes? Indicator electrodes having what behavior? Type 2 behavior. Is the point clear to you?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so using the equations, we can find out the potential developed by the indicator electrode, and these equations are almost based upon our Nernst equation only. And you see the graph over here. You see the graph. So here, if at all you see the graph, what happens? You are getting a positive slope. Why that positive slope is you are going to get? Because this positive slope tells you that as the titration is carried out or is proceeding, what happens? The concentration of what ions is increasing? Chloride ions is increasing. So that means what? The effect or the influence of the chloride ions on the electrode potential is increasing. Okay, and when you reach see here a stage that is near the equivalence point, what happens? The concentration of chloride ions will be very high. Is it clear? So as a result of which, what happens? The electrode here is forced to develop a potential. Is forced. Okay, you make a note of the point. Is forced to develop the potential equivalent to the concentration of chloride ions, but not to the concentration of the silver ions. Is it clear? So that is the reason why we have obtained a positive slope. Okay, in this case, when we have plotted a graph, okay, with reference to the indicator electrodes having one behavior, type 2 behavior. Is it clear, Ma? So the second example also here also I'm giving you the mercury also is going to serve as what electrode? The indicator electrode of type 2. Okay, the mercury electrode means what? Your calomel electrode. That is example for this. And the first example is for what? The silver chloride reference electrode. So both the reference electrodes are going to function or is going to exhibit what behaviors? Indicate electrode behaviors having belonging to what type? Type 2. Is it
Type
clear?
2.
Type 2. Okay. So these are the things over here. Okay. So if at all there is any doubt, you can unmute yourself and you can ask me. Is it clear? So and to this extent, I'm stopping for today. And tomorrow we shall see about the inert electrodes. Okay. I hope